deadly force. The information that we gathered through our investigation, which was done by the protocol team, it was as follows, and I'm going to take you through that, and then we'll share with you some body cam footage that was also developed from this. In the evening of March 17, 2023, a male who we refer to as KS called 911 and reported that his friend, Alex Boren, may be attempting to take his life and had cut his wrists and throat and taken a knife upstairs with him. Emergency medical responders, fire, and Taylorsville Police Department officers were dispatched to that location. After arriving on the scene, Officer Sergeant Berg and McKinnon spoke with KS, who reported that Mr. Boren was experiencing a mental health crisis and was a guest in his home and had a large knife and was possibly injured and was destroying his property. Concerned that Mr. Boren was bleeding out and dying, officers decided to enter the residence and locate Mr. Boren. At about midnight, officers began calling out to Mr. Boren as 6 officers, Officers Haggard, McKinnon, Sergeant Tanner, Berg, and Sergeant Marriott, entered the residence. After searching the main level of the residence, officers proceeded upstairs, a trail of blood that led to them upstairs. Upstairs, while continuing to make call-outs, officers checked inside a bathroom where they observed a lot of blood and then popped open a closed door on the right, which opened into mostly an empty bedroom. A blood trail had been leading up into that room. After holding in the hallway, officers entered the room, located a closed closet door, and popped it open. Inside the closet, officers located Mr. Boren covered in bedding on the floor but not visible. And the video will show that there is this bedding, that is this sheet that's there, and they can see that the breathing underneath it, but they can't see the person. Officers began giving commands to Mr. Boren to show his hands and observed that he was breathing but not moving. Officers continued to give commands, but Mr. Boren continued not to respond. Officers retrieved a broom to attempt to move the bedding off of him. As Officer Sergeant reached into the closet with the broom handle and moved some of the bedding, he uncovered a large knife with an approximately 10-inch fixed blade on the floor near the closet entrance. As he moved the knife out of the closet with the broom handle, Mr. Boren quickly sat up, popping out from underneath the bedding, and rushed towards the officers, who had quickly begun backing up and yelling commands. Mr. Boren grabbed the knife. As he stood up with the knife in his hand, Officer McKinnon deployed his taser. Officer Berg fired a 40-millimeter less lethal weapon from the wall across from the closet. Officer Haggard fired his handgun 3 times from the corner of the room and across the closet. Mr. Boren fell back into the closet, still holding the knife, and the officers called shots fired over the radio. Officers yelled commands to Mr. Boren to not move and drop the knife, but Mr. Boren continued to wave the knife in his hands and move around. Mr. Boren then sat up, moving towards the officers with the knife raised in his hand. As he did so, Officer McKinnon, who had transitioned to his handgun, fired 2 more times. Officers continued yelling commands to drop the knife, but Mr. Boren did not immediately comply. About 30 seconds after the last shots fired, Mr. Boren threw the knife out of the closet and said, "Don't shoot me." After formulating a plan, officers pulled Mr. Boren out of the closet, got control of his arms, and handcuffed him while using a taser. Emergency medical responders, who were already staged downstairs, quickly entered the room and began rendering medical aid. Mr. Boren was transported to a hospital where he was treated for multiple gunshot wounds as well as for his self-inflicted injuries, and he survived the incident. The other thing I wanted to point out before I move to the body-worn video was that Mr. Boren, who was a vet, has entered Veterans Court and is thriving in there, getting the support that he needs. And but there was the immediate follow-up by protocol investigators. And this actually is important because it demonstrates what was going through Mr. Bourne's mind at that time. Protocol investigators interviewed Mr. Bourne on March 24, during which he discussed the circumstances surrounding the incident. Mr. Bourne explained that he was with his friend KS at KS's house, and a man KS knew walked into the house like he owned the place. Mr. Bourne said that the man pulled a gun on him, so he ran upstairs. He hid in a really dark room so that the man couldn't find him. He tried to camouflage himself in whatever was on the floor and waited. Mr. Bourne said that as he waited, the man was downstairs with KS talking and watching TV. Mr. Bourne said that he made a break for the door, and the man came at him, and he tried to push the man away. Mr. Bourne said that they attacked him, and he booked it out of the house. Mr. Bourne explained that he got the knife wounds from holding his hands up from the man who was slashing at him with a knife. Mr. Bourne also said that after he left the house, a cop shot him. Mr. Bourne said that he couldn't remember all the details, didn't know what happened. Mr. Bourne said that he didn't know why the cop shot him. Mr. Bourne didn't recall anything else happening in the closet and denied taking any weapons with him in the closet. And I share that with you because that was important, because it allowed us to understand what was going on with Mr. Bourne in the moment of his psychotic break, as he shared that information with us as well. With that, I'm going to ask Nick to take you through some of the body-worn cameras that we had. What I want to do is that there were multiple individuals who were there, so I think the first one that we're going to see is what we did is we synced those body-worn cameras together so you could see it from the perspective of the multiple officers as they enter into the building and as they try to locate Mr. Bourne. And so, Nick, I'm going to ask you to go ahead and play that if you would. This is them going upstairs. The rooms were sparsely, there wasn't really anybody there. They're going to enter.
Alex, show me your hands. Alex, show me your hands.
No movement. He's breathing them.
So they're looking.
Alex, show me your hands. Alex,
This is
show
the
us
closet.
your hands, dude.
Pepper ball if you need his advice.
Alex,
This is the
show
coverage
your
right
hands.
there. It's just a large, like bedding.
Do we have any tool to grab this thing and pull this off of him? He's got like a sheet on him.
I've got
He
this
has
breathing.
At this time, again, they're staged.
I can hit pepper ball in there if you want.
I don't want to do pepper ball.
Closet.
Excuse me, Tom.
Closet.
Move the sheet.
Someone move grab a broom or something from downstairs. Okay. Hey, I'm gonna run dedicated. Someone else light him up. Take the lights.
Again, closet.
See this light.
Alex, we're here to help you, bud. Show us your hands.
Alex, you haven't done anything wrong.
Is there anything you guys saw that could help grab us?
What is that, closet?
Yeah.
Okay. Alex, we're here to help you, bud. You show us your hands.
Looks like he's got that.
Okay, watch crossfire with her coming back up.
Definite breathing though.
They get the broomstick. So it's important to keep your eye.
Someone's good light.
Well, I got light. We're good there. Just come up and try to pull it off.
Splashed under. Oh.
There's the knife. He's got the knife.
Drop the knife
Drop the
now!
knife, Alex, the knife!
Drop the knife now! Watch crossfire.
Where is Amanda?
She's back here.
Drop the knife, Alex,
Yes,
so we
sir.
can help you!
Sarge, you
Drop
come
the
to my
knife!
side.
He still has the knife.
Drop the knife, Alex!
Alex,
Drop the knife!
Oh, shit.
Okay, he's not armed.
So he finally lets go of the knife,
There's nothing in his hands.
but then he turns over and they're trying to clear his hands.
Through the knife.
What? Come across. Alex, we want to help you. Show me your hands. Keep your hands where I can see them. Do you have any other weapons on you? Alex!
Make sure someone's not coming in.
Okay, he's not responsive.
Okay,
We're
another
gonna-
change.
we need to get medical.
We need to get medical in here.
Okay.
Do you want hands or empty? Okay, advise.
Alex, come here. Alex, you need to listen to me, dude.
Can we drag his feet out so we can get him out here?
I need to get rid of the shield.
Here, here.
Hey, don't move, don't move.
Alex?
Can someone tase him again?
Yes, I can. If you let me in. Here, come on.
They're trying to clear his hands. He keeps taking his hands down and they don't know what's inside there or what's underneath in his
Grabbing
hands.
his waistband, I can't verify that 100%, but I don't think so.
Alex,
Let's
you're
chase.
gonna get tased, Alex, if you don't turn over.
Alex, we don't want to shoot you, we want to help you.
We can tase and cuff him.
And he's saying to them, shoot me, kill me now.
Alex?
I got it.
But they keep giving him commands, just show us your hands so we
Okay,
can
I'm gonna
get.
tase him, Berg. Okay. All right. You go in. Cuff. Okay.
Fire
Get him on his,
outside.
get him on his stomach.
There,
We'll
go
cuff
in.
we'll cuff him behind.
You guys know, I'm going to pay with the shield when you get on.
Let's tase him. Just get him
Someone
under
do
control.
hands, I need someone for hands, I got you.
They make the decision to tase him so they can get clear of his hands so they can bring him out because they're trying to get, they want to get
Hold on, guys. Hold
that
on.
clearance.
Stay at the bottom, please.
Okay.
Okay, just stay down there, Obi.
All right. Taser, taser, taser. Cuff
They see one hand clear, but the other one, he goes under.
Hold on, this waistband, stay. Watch this waistband.
Relax, I got it.
Relax.
Watch this waistband.
Ready? Okay, cuff.
He still won't give him his
Watch his
hands. He's
waistband.
resisting with them.
You're not giving these hands. He's gonna attack, come on.
Go to the lake. Go to the lake. It's not going to the jacket. Give her your hand.
Second.
Get the hand.
Okay, we got.
I need a cuff. I can't let him go.
And
That's from his hand.
okay.
No, we got both hands.
We have both
No,
hands.
I know.
And so this is a still. Oh no, this is the slowed down body cam. Slow down. Go ahead and play this, Officer Berg. This is a knife, but he's reaching down as you can see. He's gonna grab the knife as he's coming up at him. And that was important because the knife actually, when they pulled that back, the knife was not in his hand. So he's making the effort to grab it as rising up and is coming at him. And that's when they made that initial fire. And that was important for the investigative team to look at. The next one is, go ahead, again. This was, I'm sorry, go back to that. That's the still shot. So this allowed us to, when we went frame by frame to see, again, it wasn't like something that he had there, but as they're trying to sort of find out what's underneath, that knife is out there, and then he's in sort of one sort of motion, picking that up, and then trying to stand up and coming at him as they're reacting to that. This is, again, another advantage of with him standing up with the knife that he's got. It was, again, as I said, a very long knife as well. This is him still being holding onto the knife, and this is the second time when he's sort of getting up again, moving towards them. And this was the knife that was recovered from the scene. So as we went through it, based on the information that we looked at, we concluded that it was reasonable for officers to use that force. But I want to take a moment, and so we will not be pursuing anything beyond or any filing of new charges when we look at the totality of all the information. But I just want to end up by just making one last final point. I think this is really important to recognize two things. Things can become, this demonstrates how dynamic and fluid a situation is and how quickly it can change. And also to just draw attention, and I've said this before, and I'm going to keep saying it. I guess is that the continuing challenge for our veterans who continue to suffer from stress and PTSD, and just the ongoing mental health challenges they continue to face, and I think it's just ironically poignant that this May is Mental Health Awareness Month, and this was a dynamic situation, and I'm just happy to say that Alex is doing well. He's getting the help and support that he needs. He's thriving in mental health court, and as he gets stabilized. And so with that, I will be happy to answer any questions. Yeah.
So, just to be clear, there was no guy with a gun prior, that was just all kind of in his head?
Yeah, so, I think that's really important, and I don't mean to make, please, I want to be very, very respectful for somebody who's undergoing a mental health crisis. Alex's perception was that there was somebody a person with a gun. Alex's perception was that there was somebody who was attacking him. Alex's perception was that he was fighting off somebody who had cut, and those cuts that had been self-inflicted, he subsequently got support for. Cutting himself in the neck and hands and arms were self-inflicted, but they were, in his perception, from a third party. And in his recall, he has no memory of police even being inside the house with him. His memory was that a police officer shot him when he sort of booked it out of the house. And I point that simply out to the level of psychosis and the challenge that he was facing at that time.
And he was only charged with messing up the house, right? He
Yeah.
wasn't charged with anything regarding attacks on the officers, which you could have filed, but you said you didn't. Can you explain more about that?
Yeah, I think it was clear to us that he was in a state of psychosis. And the goal here was to get him the help that he needed. He's a veteran who's suffering from that, and certainly one of the options is we could have prosecuted for the fullest extent, but he pled to the offenses of destruction of property. He is on a course for his mental health treatment. He is succeeding and thriving, and the goal here is to get him the help that he needs. Look, I've been a prosecutor for 29 years, and I've dealt with a lot of people who have mental health issues, and I can tell you no mentally ill person wakes up in the morning and says, how many crimes can I go out and commit today? Often the conduct is the consequence of their mental illness, and certainly we want to keep everybody safe. Again, this was a very dynamic, volatile situation that happened. And at the same time, he's taking accountability for his behavior, but he's also getting the help that he needs. Which, again, not to belabor the point, we have almost 18 to 22 veterans every day commit suicide. And this is not where we should end up with those veterans, and we can do better in getting treatment and support to those veterans who are in just incredible dire need for those mental health and supportive services.
How long was it between the man sitting up and to the point where shots were fired?
You saw it in real time there. It was seconds. It was seconds. And again, look, I've done this for long enough. I don't like the use of force more than anybody else. And these are dynamic situations. The objective of the police officers there was to try to help him. Everybody was trying to manage and mitigate this crisis. But those things change very quickly. They're dynamic. You don't know what is the perception of the person that you're dealing with. So it's a constant flux of trying to balance and mitigate against that danger, and at the same time trying to help somebody. And none of those officers went there with the eye towards wanting to hurt anybody. It's just those dynamics. The officers were there to help. They tried to manage the situation the best that they can. From a prosecution and criminal justice perspective, my job is to look to see if this is something that is criminally chargeable and culpable with that kind of intent. It doesn't rise to that level. There's a context to this. And at the same time, it highlights sort of the crisis that we're facing within our community as well.
I think in the report, and I think you said that there were 2 officers who used less than lethal force that
Yeah.
night, and then 1 officer used lethal force.
That's right. Actually, there were 2 officers. Again, they were there, and so when this situation unfolds, you have somebody who's got less lethal, somebody who's got taser, but good protocol is that if you have somebody who's going to go on taser, that you also have lethal force available, because if that doesn't take effect. And so those 2 other officers reacted with the tools that were available to them. That other officer who assessed the danger at that point reacted in the way that he did. And at that point, then the second series of shot was he was still not letting go, and in fact making an effort towards coming for them, and that was the second volley that occurred. So we had 2 shooting officers. One fired 2 times, another one 3 times, and another one 2 times. Yeah. Any other questions?
I guess, can you talk about officers' response versus, like, I know something our readers might want to know about is kind of the response of, like, crisis intervention teams, where we hear a lot about, like, were they involved in this situation at all?
No, that's a great question. I mean, we do have different tools that are available, and one of the things that Salt Lake County is really good at is that we have these mobile crisis outreach teams that are there, but those actually make a lot of interventions and make a lot of contact. But when you have somebody who may be acting violently, not disruptively, and somebody who may have a weapon, and somebody who is destroying property or harming themselves with a weapon, that raises that threat level at a different level. So you have to approach it in the best way that you can, but within the context of that situation. So you see the officers, they have a shield, they have less lethal, they're trying to engage him. They're actually trying to pull the knife away from him. And at that moment when he comes to and he's grabbing it and he's coming at them, that situation changes very quickly and very dynamically. So now they're responding to that change in that situation, if you will, right? And so the goal, even from the tone, initially how they get there, they're there to try to assist him. They're trying to diffuse that situation, but they can't control it. So they're now forced to react to it and respond to it. Any other questions? Okay, thank you very much.